Kyle's gotten a bunch of calls about Steve Wilks, including one from the Chargers. Teams want Wilks as their head coach. What do you think? I mean, and do the Niners get a third round draft choice for Wilks if he leaves, or is that not the case?
Not this year. You have to be on the team for, I think, 2 years, and then you get the comp pick. So if they were to lose Steve Wilks this year, it sucks because they don't get the comp pick to, so if you lose a coach, you get a pick to compensate. It wouldn't happen this year. So, I mean, it would be great for Wilks if he gets a head coaching opportunity, although I don't think the Chargers are going to take Steve Wilks. I think that they're just, going to look at all the candidates. And I know I've heard a lot of people say that Steve Wilks is being eyed on around the league. I think Jordan Schultz posted this earlier that, he's going to get a lot of calls. And, this comes with the territory. Kyle Shanahan loses coordinators on a yearly basis. It's kind of become an annual tradition. It's okay, here we go. Which quarterback or which coach are we going to poach for the Niners? I don't think Steve Wilks leaves this year, but I think eventually he will become a head coach. Again, that's why he took this transition, do good, shine with the Niners, showcase himself, and then become a good defensive head coach somewhere. I think they stick with him one more year and then he leaves next year. The guy I'm worried about is Adam Peters, Larry. This guy's getting a lot of interviews. And in the past, he's kind of turned down interviews. Now he's kind of testing the waters. Tonight, apparently, he had an interview with Washington for their football operations, head of football operations, GM. The Raiders are looking into him. The Chargers are looking into him. I don't know. I don't want to lose Adam Peters. This guy's been so important to the front office, drafting, et cetera, et cetera. Maybe the 49ers promote this guy to the GM. Maybe he's kind of looking around saying, this is what they offered me. What can you do better for me, San Francisco?
Why did Rand Carthon get a job before Peters? Wasn't Peters higher than Carthon on the pecking list, or did Peters make it clear to other teams that he wanted to stay here? Or why is it that Tennessee grabbed Carthon when Peters was still there? Well, wasn't Carthon beneath Peters?
He was, but I think last year Peters made it specific that he didn't want, because he turned down opportunities. He even turned the year before. He had a second interview with the Giants 2 years back, and then he says, no, I don't want to take the job. And then last year, Arizona, and I think it was the Titans, he turned them down. He didn't want those opportunities. So maybe it just wasn't the right moment for Adam Peters last year. But also, from what I understand, is he's a Bay Area guy. He has family out in Cupertino. I think he was happy with his role with the 49ers, and he wanted to continue to stay doing, what he's doing here with the Niners. And again, he was happy. And I think now he wants to see what's out there. And then, you can't fault the guy. But I think it's more of a tactic to say, all right, let me see what these guys are offering. And then he'll come back to the Niners and say, hey, look, this is the offer. What can you guys do for me? So I think eventually his dream is to be a GM. But if the 49ers can make him a GM, keep him in-house, man.
Yeah, I mean, to me, first of all, we have no idea who, we're not in their war room. We don't know their draft meetings. For all we know, Peters is just a, guy with a nice smile. I mean, we don't know. I don't know. Is Peters the guy? And it's a house of cards. It's ready to tumble as soon as he walks out the door, or is he just like, just another guy in the room? Is it the Lynch show and Peters is just there? I mean, I don't know. It's impossible to know. My sense of it is that he's a key guy, and there is no cap for what you pay executives. So why not just pay him more money? Pay him more money. If he wants the GM title, give him the GM title. Whether he's the GM and Lynch is the director of player personnel, whether Lynch is the president and Peters is the GM, whether they have the same title, different titles, at the end of the day, they're still working together to draft the team and put together the roster. It seems to me like if the Niners wanted to keep him, they should be able to figure out a way to do it.
Yeah, and I think they ultimately will. Again, I think that he's going to meet with these teams to see what's out there. In order to get any position, any job, in my experience, I've looked around. I've taken some interviews here, and then I come back to my boss and say, hey, look, these are some things I've been looking at. What can you do for me to help me out? And maybe again, this is just speculation on my part. Maybe that's what Peters is doing. But again, maybe he's trying to broaden his horizons. They do have Bob Myers out in Washington now, big Bob Myers from the Warriors. And that guy's trying to put together a fantastic staff for Washington. And I mean, if you're going to take the best candidate out of all the people to become a GM, Adam Peters to me would probably be the best GM out of all the people that are, looking into becoming GMs, man. I mean, he's a fantastic guy. But again, the 49ers with John Lynch, they did promote him to president of football operations a couple months ago. And I think with that, probably was a move to allow Peters to raise up to GM, like you said, give him his money, give him his title, and everything's right in the 49er world. So I think that's the direction it'll go, but time will tell. I don't know.
Yeah, I think Myers' first choice is Peters. They go back to UCLA together. Myers has been at a bunch of Niner games this year. If you say, what is Bob Myers, when it's like you always want what you don't have. If you're broke, maybe you want to make six figures. If you make six figures, now you want to be a millionaire. If you're a millionaire, now you want to be a multimillionaire. Bob Myers is a multimillionaire, so he probably wants to be a billionaire. How do you become a billionaire? You become a billionaire by, jumping into the NFL, where the revenue pie in the league has jumped from 7 billion. It's jumped from like a $7 billion industry to like a 20 or $30 billion industry in like less than 10 years. So if you really want to make huge money, it's probably not in the NBA. It's probably in the NFL, and it's probably by getting a piece of the pie. And, if you're Bob Myers and Washington's owner comes to you and says, hey, look, we want to turn this thing around. How do we do it? Well, you're an iconic brand. You're in the toilet because of what Dan Snyder did to your franchise. You need a new stadium, but it all starts with having success on the field. Yeah. Success on the field starts with players. Players start with getting a good GM. So you bring in Bob Myers. He brings in his buddy Adam Peters from UCLA. They hire the right coach, maybe Slowick from Houston, who has the Niners system.
Yeah.
And you draft well. You have some success. You turn things around. More people come into the stadium. Now you get a little momentum on the field. Now you get a new stadium. You get out of FedEx Field. Now you've kind of re-energized and jump-started this iconic football brand. They got a brand new stadium. Now the franchise value goes up exponentially. If you have a piece of the pie, you may make $1 billion. I mean, who knows? I don't know. I mean, I got to think that that's what Bob Myers wants here. What's Bob Myers' next move? He's not. People said, oh, well, he's not going to leave ESPN. I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? He's staying at a Best Western in Bristol, Connecticut, giving his opinions about Ja Morant on television. That pales in comparison to what Bob Myers could be doing. And to me, it's like, this is a no-brainer. You come to the NFL, you jumpstart the Commanders brand, you get them a new stadium. All of a sudden, their value and their franchise goes up significantly, and you get a piece of the pie. And now you're making, tens of millions, hundreds of millions on your way to billionaire, right?
You got to figure it out, Larry. You got it down to the wire. But you know what? You're absolutely right. If you go into a franchise like the Washington Commanders, they're a starving football franchise. They want to be good again, and they've been having, they have talent. They have like certain players, certain pieces. If you restore glory to a team like that, yeah, you're going to get a lot of money. And you're absolutely right. Bob Myers has been a heck of an executive. He's done it at the NBA level. And you know what? When you have that much money and you have that much, things in your brain and you're that smart, you get bored. And you know what? Make the leap to NFL. And if he becomes successful in both leagues, the guy will become a legend in sports circles. So absolutely, I think in order for him to rebuild a team, you got to get the best of the best. And he knows that, because when he was with the Warriors, that's what he did. He got the best of the best. And again, you never know. I mean, he is buddies with Adam Peters, and that's, to me, the one ace in the hole that he holds over anybody else. So if Peters goes, I think it's because of Bob Myers. But I think the 49ers will make sure they make Adam Peters a well-paid GM for the 49ers.
Yeah, keep him around. But it's interesting from Bob Myers' perspective, and I love Bob, great guy. But, I mean, he was an agent. Someone said, well, maybe he could go run an agency. Okay, but, I mean, does he really want to do that and, sit there and deal with high school players and, college players and be at their whim. I don't know. It's kind of a seedy business altogether.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you look at his run with the Warriors, I mean, I love Bob Myers, great guy, but he got lucky, man. He inherited Steph Curry. Yeah, he drafted Draymond Green. He's got good people skills, but he's not Jerry West. I mean, he's not like Bob Myers suddenly knows talent better than everybody else. He doesn't. So it's not like he can recreate it's not like he can build dynasties anywhere he goes. He's not that kind of a personnel guy. He hits on a few, he misses on a few. I don't even think he's all that passionate about it, to be completely honest.
Well, but that's why you go and get Adam Peters, because he knows ball. You get a guy that knows it, and he can get you the players you need. So, again, I think
Bob Myers is like Bob Myers to me is like franchise deodorant. You know what I mean? If you got the stink on your franchise and you need to wash it away, get Bob Myers, and he'll be like the perfect deodorant. And then he'll give it a smiley, happy face. He'll improve the credibility, and then you can get real people in there who know what they're doing.
But he's the mask. You got to have that mask, the Band-Aid first. And you know what? You hit it right on that. He's a people person. So in order to get the right people, you need a guy that can talk and wine and dine the right people. And then, thanks, Bob. You did your part. We got the people we need. Appreciate you for putting the deodorant. Now let's get cleansed. So I agree with that. That was a good take.
Thank you. I'll be here.